My name is Shawn Rashid. I'm 28 years old and I've been racing for, this is my third year. I'm in GB3 for my second year. I'm in a new car, a new team. I'm determined, I'm ready. And my goal is simple, make it to Formula 1. Ready to kick some ass and show everyone what we got. My entry into motorsports is quite unique. It's quite different than what you hear from almost all the other drivers on the grid. A lot of guys start out when they're 5, 6 years old, and were kind of brought into it by their parents, and that's all they've done up to now when they're racing in their late teens, early 20s. Myself, I had a more somewhat traditional background growing up. I was fortunate enough to actually grow up in Costa Rica and live a really beautiful life, simple life there. I'm very blessed to have had a really wonderful family. I'm really close with my mom, dad, and have a sister who's like a best friend. Yeah, I grew up there and was always really into sports and was always on several teams growing up. Motorsports was just not really a thing there in Costa Rica. You know, it's such a rural place where it's just kind of so out of mind. I started learning how to fly a helicopter at the age of 14. And every vacation when I came back to Atlanta, I would go and fly a helicopter and get my hours, and got my helicopter license on my 16th birthday. I was really good at math, science, and loved helicopters, aerospace, all that sort of stuff, so it was kind of natural for me. I thought I would go be an engineer, and so went to look up best aerospace programs in the country, and Purdue was in the top 3, and I got in there. So without even having visited or anything, moved up to Indiana and spent my college years all up there studying aerospace engineering. The main part of our project. When it came time to looking for jobs, I was really getting worried. Just nothing really I found exciting. And my parents, they've always really emphasized the importance of doing something you love, and that it's not about the money, that you do something you love and the money will come later. This is right when COVID kind of happened. It was just a really confusing time for me, trying to figure out what I want to do. School kind of stopped, everything stopped. It was only supposed to be a spring break trip to Costa Rica.
Life is good.
The 1 week spring break ended up turning into like, I think it was almost 6 months. And I had spent the 6 months kind of like a soul searching kind of thing you see in the movies, like traveling around when I could, having all these different experiences that really helped me grow and learn a lot about myself. I was doing a lot of like meditating and stuff at that time. I was really starting to get into it, and intention setting and trying to figure out what am I good at, what do I love to do, trying to brainstorm over the 6 months what are things that I can do for a career. It was difficult because those roads never led to anything engineering wise, which was difficult for me to grasp with, because, you know, I'd spent so many years at university, in a really tough university, to get a degree that I was kind of like, well, I need to use it. But I couldn't help it. The 6 months I was there, I started having a lot of vivid dreams. You know, the ones that like you wake up and it's like, it was so real that you like get kind of confused where you are when you wake up. And I'm having these dreams about driving on a track all the time, being in races, just bringing up a lot of really intense emotions, like a lot of like really like this excitement and like feeling when like you win. 2 or 3 months before I went to Costa Rica, I had gone to AMG Academy at Laguna Seca for my birthday. My parents sent me out there, and it was like a 2-day experience. And I think there was like 80 some other people there. They have like competitions that everyone competes in. Finishing the first day, I was like, I've never loved doing something so much. It was so cool. Finished the weekend and won all these competitions, won this cool helmet. At the end, the instructors were like, man, you're really good at this. Like, do you drive now? Have you done a lot of karting? And I was just honest with them and said, this is my first on-track experience. The only thing I've done is drive on the road. I'm like, man, well, I don't know like what you're doing, but you should seriously consider like doing this as a profession because you're really naturally gifted. And at that point in time, I just kind of put it aside because that's when I was looking for jobs in engineering. I was like, this is a cool experience, but it was just that, an experience. Towards the end of my time in Costa Rica, I'll never forget it. I had this dream that was so vivid. It was almost like a divine experience. And in this dream, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Some people might, you might want to call it God, your higher self. But I was having this conversation with like this really pure source. I was just asking questions like, what do I do? And what are my passions? And it said, motorsports and music. And there'll be an opportunity in life where doors will open for you to go follow these passions. But it's up to you to walk through the doors and like grab hold of the opportunities. Otherwise, they'll pass you by. I woke up from this dream kind of like crying because it was so beautiful, intense. It was really crazy. An hour later, my dad called me randomly. He's like, our friend knows a famous race car driver. Are you open to getting lunch with him? And I was like shocked because that was kind of like, I had been told in this dream that an opportunity would open. And then this just like, the synchronicity of it was just crazy. The person he was talking about was Johnny O'Connell. Super successful race car driver, won Le Mans 4 times, most winningest driver at Sebring, just an incredible career. So we went to lunch with him and he was asking about my experience, and I told him, I don't have very little experience in anything. The only thing I've done is this Laguna Seca experience. And he's like, oh, very cool. Do you know who your instructor was? And I was like, yeah, it was this guy named Kanan, really cool guy. We got along very well. And he started laughing, and it turned out that Kanan is his son. Started working with Johnny, and we had done some like club races, like maybe a couple here and there, just to like get experience with racing for the first time. And then Johnny, he's like, what are your goals with this? Because you're super talented, but we got to have a direction where we're going so we can start making a plan. I told Johnny that I wanted to do Formula 1, and I just knew that was where we were going. He was called me his science experiment. And he's like, let's just see what we can do, and we'll shoot for the stars. Once we figured out that goal, he's like, we need to get you over to Europe. That's where the best competition is, the best series. And no disrespect to the American racing at all. I think the style of driving over in Europe is really important if you're gonna try and make it to Formula 1. Decided that I was gonna move out to England and kind of start out doing British Formula Ford and F1600, and that would be kind of our starting point for racing. Had a really, really great experience my first year of racing. Had a lot of success, learned a ton, really good competition. Struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year, learning the tracks and figuring out the car, but once halfway through the year, something just clicked, and yeah, I started finishing in top 10 and having top 5 finishes, and then I literally won the top rookie of the race for like all the races except for like 3 out of the whole year.
And Shawn Rashid, the rookie champion, in the national championship this year.
So things were really picking up, and by the end I had I won twice, had 5 podiums, a strong showing at the Formula Ford Festival, which is world-renowned competition in the F1600. People bring their cars from all over the world to race in it.
There's performances that are getting stronger and stronger throughout the national championship. He is very, very delighted with that, and he will certainly be pleased with getting that victory.
After having such a good year, we felt we were ready to move on, and so I think British Formula 3 was kind of the natural next step, considering how much faster and learning how to drive a car with slicks and wings. It's quite different than a Formula Ford, so knew it was going to be a challenge, but yeah, I couldn't have foreseen the journey that it was going to be that year. It was emotionally and mentally very difficult. I had never trained so hard, worked so hard, and gotten so little to show for it. It was just kind of like in a bad situation with my team and just not being able to get the car right, really being kind of left out to dry. I'm really grateful for it because it taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about myself, showed me how badly I wanted it. You know, I'd say about 3/4 of the way through the year, I had gotten talking to Dan Mitchell, and he's the owner of VRD. They have a partnership with Arden Motorsports as well. And then I was kind of upset and kind of lost, and he was really, really kind to me from the outset and was like, well, you know, we're doing a test out at Anglesey. We'll have James Headley out there, and he'll be a good benchmark for you to see where you're really at. And so did that 2-day test, did really well. They just invited me more and more tests, kept performing really well, was really quick, and they're like, okay, they could see my potential and they believed in me, and that was really important for me too, having a team that believed in me and made me feel valued as a driver. I'm very confident going into this year. You know, second year bringing the car, feels very comfortable to me at this point, and with this team too, I mean, the car is very rapid. In a lot of ways, I feel like I was robbed of a lot of experience last year. We were in a situation where we were so off the pace, I was really bracing very rarely. I think you'll hear a lot of people talk in motorsports in general, you know, what is your goal coming into this year? And I think you would hear a lot of get X amount of podiums, win the championship. You know, this is still a feeder series. This is still a series where you're coming to gain experience and learn. What I've said my goals are for this year is to have the experiences that are going to develop me most as a driver, to prepare me to be the Formula One driver I'll be down the road. That's what I would like to happen. Some weekends, not everything will go your way. You just gotta learn from it and trying to find a way to make up for it. Racing in the rain, it's known as the great equalizer. But lo and behold, bad things happen at the back.